you are going to need a new financial global architecture. And there are elements of it that seem pretty clear. You're going to need common accounting. That right now we have different accounting in different parts of the world, so people can't even look at the same phenomena and understand it. So you're going to need, common accounting. You're going to need, similar systems for regulation in each country. In other words, you're going to need sort of a Treasury Secretary, a central bank, and a regulator who knows what's going on. Right now we have 9 regulators in the United States. We can't even coordinate what's going on within our own country, let alone internationally. You're going to need all financial institutions in the net. You're going to need all significant financial instruments in the net, so you can compute what risk is, and you're going to need a place where regulators can get together and exchange information on what's going on in each country, so you can get a realistic concept of global risk. And right now there is no place that really does that. I mean, if you imagined, sort of a World Bank in session, or some group where that you have permanent representatives from each country, and every quarter they're looking at the risk in their system, the regulatory approach. They publish this on the internet, so you can see globally which countries are creating high-risk systems, where the bubbles are, and by letting everyone in the world know that pretty much instantaneously, one of the advantages of the internet, that capital can then be denied certain of those countries. There's a risk premium, and that can force people to do it. There are other ideas.
It's a very platonic idea. I don't think people could recognize risk if they saw it. In other words,
I think that's utterly untrue.
If you blew up the federal system, right? In the United States, people had no idea of the risk they were managing. So when you globalize that and you go, now obviously we have a sensitivity currently, but the fact of the matter is, and you look at the global institutions, you just have to be very cautious as to their efficacy. And the flip side of the sword here, there are two edges to it, is everybody's today in the mode of prudence, prudence, prudence. Okay, they did that in 1929. They went to a gold standard, right? And what happens is you get a shrinkage because it's hard to do. You have to have, like in a building, expansion joints. Right. As to this thing. So what I'm saying is the problem with any system is if you had Steve as the all-knowing regulator, global, we'd certainly have a perfect system. But fragile as it is.
Actually, it's Bruce.
That's right.
Who would do the better job.
But the world is fragile and people are fragile.
Right.
And what you try to do is to get systems that are self-operative within boundaries. And the boundaries, I think, are capital boundaries and diversification boundaries. And you can go set those, and then you can have wide scope of things. Right now we're on a trend. We are toward a trend of global accounting. We're also on a trend of global fiction writing.
Right.
And by the way, even if it had a standard, the relevant statistic is, which people don't focus on, is again, not capital, but lendable capital.
Right.
And what's happening with, just one last point, is on the capital, the reason why the giveaway program isn't working, but it's giveaway program, let's see, a week before it was, the TARP was announced. People talk about TARP. Whatever they're doing now is completely the opposite of what the bill that they passed that they needed to have within a week. They came out with a different program. So the question now is, okay, why aren't the banks lending? Well, the banks aren't lending for a very simple reason, that capital is being used to shore up the base of the banks so they can sell down assets and cover the losses with cover the capital. So it's not, there's a business model question, which is unless you lend, how do you as a bank make money? At some point they will lend.